Hello everybody, it's Pixie People here again, and there's a bit of a fan noisy because I'm hot. Like I'm sweating my ass off, kind of hot. Anyways, Bakugo? Oh, we continue our story where we left off, with Baku training for the UA Sports Festival. Obviously, the Sports Festival is about to happen. So, Bakugo shows up with the group, sensing Deku behind him, but he ignores it. Slightly says, like whispers to Deku, if he can hear it, "Don't get in my way." So Deku looks at him. If you're wondering, yes, we can fully see Deku now. So now I can just mention him without being weird. Deku looks at Bakugo with a smug look on his face, then smirks. Then then Baku shoots out of the ring with Todoroki behind him, and then they're like neck and neck for the whole thing. The whole run of the USJ, neck and neck. But I'll explain during the thing. During the tightrope thing, Baku just blew over it. Todoroki just made an ice bridge and walked over it. But then destroyed the ice bridge right as he jumped off it. Suno could follow him. His strat. No follow the strat. You could. Anyways. Please don't do it, Sparky. Sorry, he's been like barking every single time I try to record a video. Let's hope he doesn't do it again. Bakugo. Oh, anyways. Bakugo. Then when they get to the, blah, 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 blah. Alright, there were the zero pointers, the gap, and then the bombs. Of course, Baku shot past the zero pointers while Todoroki just obliterated them. And Baku did what I just explained earlier. Then during the mine part, Baku just blows over him. Boom, boom, boom. Todoroki uses his ice thing. But right as they're neck and neck, Deku trips Todoroki by using shadow control. By shadow control, I mean he just tugs on his shadow. Like he pinches it, tug, and then the Todoroki just trips. And Bakugo gets first place, not knowing that Todoroki tripped at all. Todoroki immediately got up and started freaking. Then he shot a fire blast behind him so he could try to get to Bakugo. But all in all, he failed. Anyways, Bakugo gets the 10 million points. Doesn't care about people like becoming shadow figures. And the only person he doesn't see as a shadow figure is Deku, because he doesn't care. Not doesn't care. He just feels happy that Bakugo doesn't care anymore. Because he used to care about a lot of people's opinions. Anyways, Bakugo, 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 Bakugo. I usually say their name over and over again, just in case I don't know what the frick I'm saying. Bakugo is snapping because I don't know what I'm doing. Bakugo, Bakugo. Damn, my brain is melting. Oh, so then Bakugo makes a speech and says he's gonna win. And again, they start booing him, but he doesn't care. Then Deku blows air into the mic, making it sound very loud so it hurts everyone's ears. Which Bakugo takes as a threat to to Bakugo from Deku. Not really, he was just trying to make everyone annoyed. He's a ghost, he can do what he wants. No one can hurt him. Anyways, Baku assembles his team. Kirishima, I don't know the other two. Bakugo just runs around collecting headbands. Deku just sits outside the sidelines because why would he do anything here? But he doesn't want to do anything really. So he just sits there waiting for Bakugo to finish. Bakugo gets first place again. Dubs. Todoroki is getting a bit frustrated. Bakugo keeps getting every first place, but he brushes it off. Deku, oh. Then Bakugo walks into the stadium as the first contestant, tutoring. Wait, isn't Shinzo the first contestant as well? Yes, Bakugo is taking Deku's place in all of his bouts. But let me just establish something. Since Deku is not there, one contestant that I will not name because they're a mystery person, I just want someone to fill in the place of Deku. So basically, Deku versus Todoroki. You remember Deku Todoroki? Nah, it's just random NPC versus Todoroki. And this NPC, let's just say, is really strong, so he's able to actually make Todoroki use his fire ability for only like a microsecond. Then he stops using it and then takes out the random. Baku gets slightly irritated because he better use his fire side on him or he's gonna whoop his ass. Deku looks at his anger, then blows air into his eardrum, making Baku slam his ear because that hurt. Deku's a supernatural building, so I assume he'd be strong. And then Deku does like a front flip into the seat next to Bakugo. Kirishima's on the other side. This seat was actually where Deku sat in the original. Anyways, Deku waits until the stadium. Waits until Bakugo's fights begin, and he just stays there. Actually, well, he is getting sucked close, like he's getting like sucked out of the seat, but he's able to still see it, just on the almost the edge of the seat. Then he gets to see Bakugo fight Todoroki. Actually, Tokiyami annihilates him. Bakugo fights Ochako, annihilates her. She tried though, so Deku ghost claps in impressment. He's a goofball now. He gets to just be himself. He gets to be a goofball now. Anyways, then it's Bakugo versus Todoroki. The fight ends with Bakugo's W. It's really just the same in the original, except Bakugo is a bit more manic and rage-fueled, yelling at Bakugo to use his fire, because if he doesn't use it on him, he'll whoop his ass. But Todoroki says that he doesn't need to use it on him. Then Bakugo just actually cracks. Like we see a screen, like a video screen behind him, slowly crack the more Todoroki denies his request to fight him fairly. But Todoroki says this is fair, and like he doesn't want to, and he'll never use his full power on someone weaker than him. So then the screen completely shatters, and Bakugo's eyes dilate. He gets white, like he becomes like Broly. He just starts screaming like bloody murder to use Todoroki's fire side. He's just kept saying, like he keeps saying, use your fire side, use your fire side. Eventually, he just kept saying, use it, and starts pummeling Todoroki. and not even using his quirk anymore. He just starts suplexing him, and eventually just gets to the point where Baku's sitting on top of Baku's stomach. No, it gets to the point where Baku's just sitting on Todoroki's stomach and just pounding in his face to tell him to use it. Todoroki actually starts bleeding. Like his nose, the crowd can hear like a loud crunch when Baku hits him a little more and more. They hear like a crunch and a crunch happen. And what's really scary about this whole situation, Midnight has been using her quirk the whole time. Todoroki's been out the whole time. Baku, on the other hand, is wide awake, pummeling a sleeping man. So everyone's just freaking out, telling him to get the kid off him. But like Cementos tries to get over to Bakugo, and he just gets like blown up. One of his arms gets blown straight off. Of course, he can just replace it, but that still scared the crap out of the audience. This kid is manic. He should be arrested for pummeling this kid. And Bakugo is just not stopping. No stop. That is until Aizawa comes down and tells him to stop. But Bakugo, after gets up, then freaking shin kicks then he freaking hits Todoroki in the stomach, then leaves. Eventually, Todoroki wakes up with a pummeled and broken face. When Endeavor is about to sue Bakugo, Todoroki says not to. He provoked him. It is his problem, not his so-called father. He should have just used his quirk, which actually makes Todoroki stop for a second, and then breathe out, then leave to Endeavor with a lot of cloth on his face. So Bakugo is not sued for getting, and we can actually then we get like a good look at Bakugo's hands. They are broken, like his fingers are cracked. His fingers are so broken that he can't even move some of them. Then Deku flies up on him, wondering what the fuck was that. But he really hasn't. Remember, the ghost stuff hasn't happened till UA, so Bakugo had 10 months. Deku had 10 months not to know who Bakugo was. And 10 months is a long time. That's almost like a whole year. So, Bakugo. Oh. Then get a flashback to the 10 months. Before, like, he started training. It took him about 4 months to cool down, so we only had 6 months to train. But then, with those training months, like, raking muscle, those 4 months made Bakugo really, really angry. Because he doesn't know why he cares about Deku, because he said he didn't care about him as a kid, so why does he care about now? And Bakugo is still training. He's actually punching a punching bag, barehanded, I might imagine. And he does break his hand sometimes, but he just doesn't tell his parents and just wraps it. And then wears a glove to hide it. Yeah, so we see that Bakugo was abusing himself by not stopping training, even though it was hurting him. So those 10 months, he just kept hurting himself by pushing his body too much. Which, yes, that did make Bakugo extremely stronger in this version. But the problem with that is this gave Bakugo immense anger issues. He had anger issues before, but now it's just at a point where he could just crack and start just lose his mind and just want to beat something up to the point where it doesn't breathe anymore. Yeah, Bakugo is definitely insane now. He's gone insane, really. Not completely, it's just there's a certain point where he just breaks. But Deku doesn't know this, but we know it now. Yeah. Baku is basically kind of insane, but Luckily for Bakugo, the UA just covered it up. Somehow they covered it up and were not sued for hosting, quote unquote, a villain, not a mentally unstable kid. Anyways, Best Genius makes every other pro hero that asks for Totoro Bakugo to sign off because if they didn't, he'd sue them. He wants this kid in his agency. Eventually, Baku gets his request, and he just sees his Best Genius, so he just takes that one. So Baku goes to Best Genius, and Best Genius teaches him uh, how to stay cool, and he wants to know more about Baku, wondering why he went so manic and crazy. But Baku doesn't really open up that much. Till closer to the ending, actually, where Baku starts showing Best Genius some of his scars from punching his punching bag so hard that it broke them. But Best Genius understanding, with him understanding, kind of, because he used to strangle his fingers when he used his quirk too much, because the string would have wrapped around his fingers and like make his finger lose blood pressure. So he'd actually show his finger and actually smudge his finger, which would reveal some fingers without blood pressure to them, which is Bakugo is feels content with just genius. With Deku feeling Bakugo feeling a bit more happy, which actually makes Deku heal slightly, like one of his nose stops bleeding, and it hasn't been bleeding since the whole time he's been here. So progress. Little does he know. Then then Bakugo and Best Genius get the news. Ida has died from the hero killer. Then that just gets Bakugo right in the feels. Basically just destroys his emotional state and just makes Bakugo shut down. He also immediately covers up his hand stuff more. Best Genius can't even get him to talk to him anymore. And Best Genius can hear him crying sometimes in the bathroom. Because then we get to hear in Bakugo's perspective that he can't believe that he let another person die. A so-called future number one hero let another person die on even in his own classroom twice. So, and Deku has to sit through that the whole time. It sometimes is a bit uncomfortable that he has to see Baku using the bathroom, but that's not important right now. He is way more uncomfortable now that Baku is just tearing up and crying. Because he's never seen Baku feel this way. True that he's never seen Baku in the bathroom, because he's not weird. Anyways. Bakugo finishes, Baku finishes... then Baku exits the bathroom. And both Baku and Deku start both waddle out, and Best Genius tells him to just go home early. And Baku just says, "Okay." Very quiet K, too. And Best Genius just sends an Uber, and Baku gets home. And he doesn't even address his parents, he just walks straight up to his room. Enters his room and turns off all the lights, and just lays down. Eventually, a couple weeks later, they have a month to chill. Best Genius Baku had one more month with Best Genius, but Best Genius just let him go. So Baku gets a little break. But then here's when something bad happens. Bakugo doesn't feel Deku anymore. He can't feel him at all. It's been almost 2 days and he hasn't felt his presence, which is making him go from worst to manic. Then Mitsuki is hearing him tear up his room. He even hears a massive bang on his door. Hears some walls breaking, his bed getting broken, even Bakugo throwing some explosions in anger. Anger and sadness. Eventually, she doesn't hear it, which actually makes her worried. So she knocks on his door and he just mumbles, and she takes a slight breath of fresh air because she thought her kid killed herself without her knowledge. So she just tells Bakugo, do you want to talk about it? But he just says no. Yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff. Sorry about that. How are we doing on time? Yeah, it's a bit heavy. Anyways, and then Bakugo feels Deku again. You want to know where Deku was this whole time? He was with Bakugo's dad, messing with him. It was so fun that he did it for about 2 days until he got bored because his dad just started thinking he was just unlucky. So he just goes back to Bakugo's room and sees the absolute horrendous mess it is, and sees Bakugo tearing up, eyes completely bulging red. So he gets back into the room and actually hugs Bakugo, and Bakugo can actually feel it. So he's able to maneuver his hands to hug Deku's ghost. And this actually cheers Bakugo up immensely. And Deku, after Bakugo's mental dysphoria, some of his stitches actually started busting off from where they stitched his head back on. But then they heal right back up, and his nose actually heals. Anyways, if you're wondering why Deku heals the more Baku's feels better, it's because the holy god told him when Deku got to heaven that he needs to help Bakugo as his guardian angel. And Deku asked why. He feels really regretful of what he told you, what he's been telling you for the past years. And Deku just agreed. Then God explained, when you get fully healed and your form returns with your angel wings and your halo, you may come back to heaven. So Deku flies back down, then flew back down to his body, who had its head stitched back on for the funeral, and then flew to Bakugo, and then fused his soul to his, basically being his guardian angel, and haunts anything Bakugo has ever touched. Anyways, after that whole mental breakdown, Baku goes back to the UA, and Kirishima and him talk more. And Baku turns in a paper seeing what he learned at his agency. And he did learn a couple things before having a mental breakdown. Uh, after after that, Aizawa explains what they're going to a forest camp, but then they all get excited until Aizawa says that they have to take a test, a final exam, if you will. So they all get a bit worried, wondering what it is. Anyways, everyone is trying to think what it is, robots, other stuff, but yeah, they will happen. Yeah, it was you have to fight the teachers. Since Bakugo doesn't have a partner because both Deku and Ida are dead, and there's two teachers that have to have a group. Bakugo and those teachers, the teachers fail, and Bakugo is able to go to the camp. Bakugo is like the top person in their school, so they'll let him slide. This once, just once, because they don't know what to do. Bakugo shrugs and leaves. Then anyways, they go to the camp with, obviously, as I was yelling, they're still going to the camp, but they still have to do extra exams after the second day. So after after they get on the bus, Bakugo and Kirishima talk to each other, with Deku sitting at the front of the bus. Eventually, they stop. Bakugo and Kirishima get off the bus, and Kirishima starts stuttering at Bakugo. Bakugo confused why. Because is unknowing why, but we learn, because we cut to Kirishima, he sees the red marks on his eyes, showing he cried a significant amount. So, and he knows that feeling a lot. He was emo boy back in middle school. So, but then he stutters out, why are they here? But Bakugo doesn't know why. Then they meet the cat girl that's into younger men that she can actually date. Anyways, the mountain gives way because of the cat girl that's into younger men. Then they run into rock monsters, but then surprisingly, all of them just crumble. Yeah, Deku flew through all of them, and they all just crumble after Deku goes through them. So basically, they just nicely stroll while Deku makes a perimeter with like his ghostly powers, his actual angelly powers. So the rock crotches that even starts to rebuild themselves, they just crumble if they get close enough to the Class 1A or Bakugo. So better stay close to Bakugo. And then Deku just pulls this barrier like kumbaya, like he's in crisscross applesauce, and is holding two fingers in the perfect sign, upside down. Anyways, they get there really early, actually. So they get there earlier than the bus, which surprises Aizawa. Obviously, I don't know Deku is right there, but anyways, he applauds them and then just says to go eat. Then just go train. So they train, eat dinner, go to sleep. The Koda thing does not happen. Both Deku and Ida are dead. Over silence. Anyways. So later, next day they train, eat their own cooking, and then go for a cool little thing. Of course, since Kirishima has to do extra exams, it's Todoroki and Bakugo. So Todoroki and Bakugo walk, with Bakugo and Todoroki actually just lightly talking to each other, with Bakugo asking where does all of this ice go? Remember how he had that eyesight in season 1? He told, then Todoroki told Bakugo that he helped him realize that his quirk was better used in battle and to go all out even if the person is too weak to handle it. Bakugo slightly gets irritated because it kind of insinuated that Bakugo was weak. But then Todoroki immediately catches that and says, not that you're weak, it's just I'm new to this whole talking thing. See, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, so it's kind of hard to have relationships as a loner. Bakugo then says he didn't really have real friends, they really just clung to him because he had a really strong quirk, thinking they'd get into UA like that. He did have another friend that actually cared about him, he just didn't realize it. He was just too weak to see that kid actually loved him like a brother. Todoroki then breathes out, saying that he also had a biological brother that he never got to meet because he died before he could meet him. And Bakugo says his died as well. Then a moment of silence happens. Then the scarers just sit there in shock, and like a couple people start crying in the bushes. Like, damn, y'all just trauma dumped, made everyone cry. Then the villains attack. Compressed fights Todoroki, and Moonfish fights Bakugo. Bakugo chops Compress's teeth away, then hits him with a massive explosion right to the face, knocking Moonfish across the entire forest. Like, so far that he actually lands on a village. Then they just beat him up. And, they call it... Anyways, Compress actually gets Bakugo and Tokoyami, because Tokoyami is being annoying. And something worrying happening. Todoroki's about to get caught when Deku crushes Compress's entire hand. Like, he can see, like a paw, like Compress feels a hand on him. Then he sees his hand just squish in on itself. So he screams in pain and runs away, wondering what the that was. Anyways, after, are we doing on time? After the whole hand being crushed, he just immediately leaves, I'm kidding. But they wait for Kurogiri to send a portal, then they go through the portal. Then, luckily for Tokoyami, Todoroki saves him. And then, after that, and Bakugo gets captured. And Deku goes through the portal, knowing he has to go, or he's just gonna get shot through the whole city. And he doesn't want that, okay? Anyways, the next day, after the whole villain attack, it's revealed that Koda died. Muscular pummeled the kid until only his hat was remaining. Even then, it was missing a horn. Yeah, without Deku with One for All, Koda perishes. And so that is the end of this part. Like, subscribe, hit the post notification bell. Hope you liked the video. It got a bit serious when we talked about Bakugo's mental state, but that's usually what happens when you don't get to apologize to a person you wish you could have apologized to before they perished. Anyways, see ya.